Hi, you guys. Okay, we're going to have a little lesson here on converting units of measure. Um, Oftentimes in science or math or in everyday life, we have to figure out how to convert some unit of measure into another. And it actually is kind of fun, actually. I really like it. I'm sure you will too. Um, Basically, there's a lot of cross-canceling that happens. Um, you might remember if you're multiplying fractions, if you have like 2/7 times 3/8 times 1/9. You can multiply straight across the top and get an answer, and multiply straight across the bottom and get an answer. But those are going to be very big numbers that you end up having to simplify your fraction in the end. So to save the step of simplifying and to make your multiplying a little bit faster and easier and able to be done in your head, you can cancel any numerator with any denominator. So we see this 2 here and this 8 on the bottom. Well, if you had 2 over 8 as a fraction, you could simplify it by dividing the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, because 2 goes into both of those numbers. So 2 divided by 2 leaves us with a 1, and 8 divided by 2 leaves us with a 4. Now we keep looking. Are there any other numerators that can cancel with any other denominators? And we see there's a 3 here and a 9 here. If we had 3 over 9 as a fraction, we would divide top by 3 and bottom by 3. 3 divided by 3 leaves us with a 1. 9 divided by 3 leaves us with a 3. So now we've simplified everything we can. I don't think there's anything left. We've got all 1's on the top. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And 7 times 4 times 3 is, let's see, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 7 is 84. Oops. So we've got 1 over 84. So that's the way we simplify, the whole process. And you can, again, cancel any numerator with any denominator. So that same concept kind of applies when we're converting units of measure. If we have miles on the top and miles on the bottom, we can cancel those miles. Feet on the top and feet on the bottom, we cancel the feet. Whatever's left over is our unit in our answer. So this example is converting 7 miles to inches. Well, we start with what we are given to begin with, 7 miles, and we just put that over 1. The next fraction has to have miles on the bottom because we need to get it to cancel with those miles on the top. So we put mile on the bottom. Now, we're changing this into inches eventually, but we don't know how many inches are in a mile. We do know how many feet are in a mile. If you look down here, there's a bunch of common conversions that we can refer to if we're not sure. We know there's 5,280 feet in a mile. So we fill in what we know as the common conversion of feet and miles. Then we multiply again. Well, we don't want feet on the top because we're trying to get to inches. So we have to turn now our feet into inches. So we have to have foot on the bottom because we've got feet on the top. So we want those to cancel. So we put feet on the bottom. Do we know how many inches are in a foot? Yes, we could put inches on top. And the conversion is 12 inches to 1 foot. So we end up with this multiplication, 7 times 5,280 times 12 on the top, and then 1 times 1 times 1 on the bottom is just 1, which leaves us with 443,520 inches in 7 miles. So let's do one together. I've set this first one up for you. We want to convert seconds to days. So we start with seconds over 1. We want to end up with days on the top. But in between there, we've got seconds on the top to start with. We need seconds on the bottom somewhere so that we can get those seconds to cancel. So now think, well, all right, we're going to days. We don't know how many seconds are in a day. So we have to break that down a little further. We know how many seconds are in a minute. So that's our next fraction, is going to be 60 seconds in 1 minute. Now, remember, the seconds are on the bottom because we needed to cancel with the seconds on the top from our original. So we do 1 minute per 60 seconds. 60 seconds in a minute. Okay, now we're moving along. We've got our seconds to cancel. We're trying to end up with days, so right now we have minutes. We don't want minutes, we want days. So we have to do another conversion with minutes on the bottom. Get the minutes to cancel. Well, do we know how many minutes are in days? I don't, so we have to have an intermediate step here. We know how many minutes are in an hour, so that's our next step. 60 minutes in 1 hour. Remember, the minutes are on the bottom, so they cancel. Now we've got the 1 hour on the top. Again, we're not done because we're looking to get to days. So we need hours to cancel. So we need hours on the bottom since we have hours on the top. And then now, do we know how many hours are in a day? Yes. So 24 hours on the bottom, 1 day on the top. The day is what we wanted to end up with. So now we can multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. 565, 900 times 1 over 60 times 60 times 24. And when we do that out, we get 6.55 days if we round it off. So about 6.5 days. Okay, so years to minutes. We're going to start with years on the top, over 1. I'm just going to get you started. Right, we're going to need years on the bottom to get it to cancel. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know how many minutes are in a year. So if you break it down, I know how many days are in a year. Now I'm going to need days on the bottom. Again, I don't know how many minutes are in a day, but I know how many hours are in a day. So I'm not quite done. I need hours on the bottom. Do you know how many minutes are in an hour? Yeah. So that's how you're going to set that one up. And I'm going to let you do it where you put in the right numbers for those conversions. If we look at the back of your worksheet now, though, these are a little bit more complicated, more involved, because they have, like, this is not just 60 miles to inches, this is 60 miles per hour into inches per second. These are like rates that we're changing. So it's a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to do one with you, and then you can see how you do on your own. Okay, so we'll start with, but it's the same concept. We're trying to get things to cancel out. We just have a little bit more to think about. Miles per 1 hour. That's what we're starting with. So we actually have a numerator and a denominator with a unit. So we have to get these things to both cancel out. We're wanting to get to inches per second. So we can't do it all at once. We've got units of time here, and we've got units of distance here. So we have to kind of handle one at a time. So I'm going to start with my miles and put miles on the bottom. Now, I can't convert miles into inches right away. I need to break it down a little further. I know how many feet are in a mile. Okay, and that's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay, now again, my goal is inches. I'm not there yet. So now I need feet on the bottom so that the feet cancel. Do I know how many inches are in a foot? Yes, I do. There's 12 inches in a foot. Okay, so now I'm kind of good with that, right? Let me switch colors here. I got myself to inches. Miles canceled, feet canceled, feet canceled. I have my goal of inches, so that's good. The problem is I still have hours on the bottom. So now I need to worry about converting those hours into seconds, because I want seconds to be left over here. So since I have hours on the bottom to start with, I need an hour on the top here so that those will cancel. Now again, I'm trying to get to seconds on the bottom, per second, seconds on the bottom. Do I know how many seconds are in an hour? No, but I know how many minutes are in an hour. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So my hours cancel now, but I still have minutes, and I'm trying to get to seconds. So I need minutes to cancel on the top. Do I know how many seconds in a minute? I do. 60 seconds in 1 minute. So now my minutes are going to cancel, and I'm left with seconds on the bottom, which is what I want. Anytime you have this per, the first word is the top, and then the per something is the bottom of the fraction. Okay, so now we got this set up. We need to do 60 times 5,280 times 12 times 1 times 1 over, and then 1 times 1 times 1 times 60 times 60. I'm going to let you do that out on your calculator, but it ends up 1,056 inches per second. Okay, so try to tackle this on your own. See how you do. There's some proportion practice on the bottom. Just remember, once you plug in and you get your answer, the check column, you should plug in what you got for x into your original. So 9 over 4, and then whatever you got for x over whatever you got for x minus 4, plug it in and cross multiply and check if the two numbers equal each other. Okay, good luck.